doing here at Coaching Minds through our Coaching Minds Hub. If you're tuned in, please say hi. Let's drop some love to our previous presenters. We have had some fantastic sessions over the past 2 days. Let's give some love to Vijaya, some love to Madhurima, to Jane, to Coach Joyce Soloy, and to Brenda Lees for 5 absolutely fantastic sessions. Let's give some love to Adele for opening up with us today as well. Adele was absolutely fantastic in the introduction. And let's give some love to ourselves for showing up and learning and engaging, and everybody who's tuned in. So thank you so much to everybody who's been at these sessions, who's shown up and given their energy. So drop some love in the comments box below. Drop some love through Facebook if you're watching through there, or through YouTube. Donna, it's great to see you here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm looking forward to the next 45 minutes to an hour with you guys. So we're going to be looking at your environment, the key for growth. And I've stripped down these slides to be a lot simple, to start to take a minimalistic view and a minimalistic way of presenting some information for our Kickstart conference. Coach Joyce Soloy, thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful to see you tuned in with us as well. So what are we going to be covering today? What am I going to be looking at in my session? So first of all, we're going to be looking at fish out of water. And you'll work out what that means. Maybe you already know what it means in just a moment. We're then going to look at the 5 A's to meaningful growth, the 3 types of environment that we actually have. And then I'm going to give you some personal tips and a personal experience that I've gone through in terms of my environment, the challenges that I've had and how I've overcome them. And then we're going to look at an opportunity for you. How does that sound? Is that something like we want to get interested in, get stuck into? Anybody have any initial questions? What are we expecting from today's session? We talk about environment a lot. We think we know and understand that environment is important, but there's more work. Environment is probably the key and the fundamental essence of our growth. And I'm going to show you exactly why and how. So thank you so much for being here, Jane. Thank you so much for tuning in, Luchmi. It's great to see you here. If you are tuned in, please say hi. Don't be shy. So, first question. I've put a fish out of water on the screen there. What do we mean by fish out of water? What does that picture bring to you? Apart from a fish in water. So it's an English idiom. Does anybody know what it means if you say somebody is like a fish out of water? Or if we talk about ourselves. So a little bit of a perspective here. Sometimes we can see ourselves as being a bit of a fish out of water. What does it mean? I'm going to give a couple of seconds before I explain what it means. I know there's a lag with the comments, so I'll be patient. So Luchmi is saying we need a proper environment to be. Excellent, Luchmi, you're right there. Donna's saying the unknown and being uncomfortable. We can also push ourselves out the unknown and be uncomfortable, definitely. Really great answers there. So the purpose of a fish out of water is when we find ourselves in an uncomfortable or a situation that isn't suited for us. Now think about fish. They're never going to survive. They're never going to live their lives outside of the water. That is their environment. It's their natural habitat. Think of other animals and other plants within the nature world. They can only survive in certain habitats. They can only grow in certain conditions. And we as humans are exactly the same. We need to have the right environment. And I like to open up with a seed of a flower will not grow on concrete. It has to be planted, watered, and fed the correct minerals. So just like the seed of a flower, we need to plant ourselves in the right location. We need to be watered daily, and we need to be fed the correct minerals. So just some reflective questions to get you thinking there is, are you currently planted in the right environment now? Are you getting watered daily? And I'm going to explain and explore these in further detail through today's session. And are you receiving the right minerals? How do you currently feel in the environment that you're in? So Coach Joyce always said, a fish out of water to me means being in an uncomfortable environment. It does indeed. And if we're in an uncomfortable environment, if we're in an environment that we're not used to, we are not going to grow. Now, many of you might be thinking, I'm in an environment at the minute, it's not so great, there's nothing I can do, I have no control over it, but you do. You have power to change and amend the environment you're in. And that's going to be my tips today when we start to talk through how we can adapt and change our environment. Hey Adele, it's wonderful to see you here. Thank you so much for tuning in. So what are we going to look at? So why is environment important? But first of all, before we start to explore our environment, I want us to look at the 5 A's of personal growth. So no matter what we're working on, no matter what area of personal development we're currently investing in, there are 5 A's that we must go through in terms of a cycle, which I'll demonstrate in a second, to enable our growth. Does anybody have any idea of what these 5 A's are? Give me some A words and let's see if you are right and they fit into one of these 5 A's. So Donna is saying, yep, I always check that my human needs are being met. Super important human needs there. You're looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs in terms of how we can structure that. I'm not going to go into detail today, but it's wonderful to ensure that you're making sure that your human needs are being met. Absolutely wonderful stuff coming through, guys. So what do we think the 5 A's are? Anybody got any idea? Give me some A words that you would like to see on this screen. I kind of promise you they're going to be there. So Donna has said authentic. So authenticity is key for ourselves, but it's not one of the key 5 A's that I've got here today for personal growth. But authenticity is so important because if we're not authentic, we're not going to naturally grow. Adventure, that's another one that's really beautiful and wonderful, Donna, but it is not an A that I have on these. Lots of A words, especially in terms of personal development as well, but it's not on the A structure that I have today. But adventure is great for the soul. Action, Adele, that's wonderful. Action is on there. It comes at a later stage, but that's wonderful. Action is so important when we're taking growth. Any more A words? Awareness, Adele, you've hit that perfectly. So the first one is awareness. So if you're on a stage of where we're grown as a human, the first A, the first step is becoming aware that we want to change, becoming aware that we want to grow. Now, this is a really great understanding. This is where we get our aha moments. If you're into coaching, you do coaching sessions, this is where we start to get a level of understanding. But this is where so many people get stuck and they stop on that journey of personal growth. They become aware, they understand that there needs to be a change, but then they don't do anything or don't take it to that next stage in order to work through their personal growth. So you see day in, day out, when I see people posting things, we start to become aware, but people don't take that next step. Lots of good A words coming through here. As you can see, there's lots of A words in personal development. Achievement is definitely key, but achievement isn't the goal here. It's not in personal growth, but another wonderful one. We need to have agility. That's correct as well. That's not one here. Lakshmi saying ability. Ability comes in. I think ability would nicely tie into action and starting to look at that. Achievable. Acceptance. So Vijay put in acceptance. That's wonderful. Lots of fantastic A words coming through, but not what I've got on my personal growth. And this is my model. This is from my personal experience of the cycle. And I'm going to show how it evolves into a cycle that I take when I'm learning, whether I'm going into areas of forgiveness, whether I'm looking at setting healthy boundaries, whether I'm looking at improving my communication, whether I'm looking at journaling, whatever area of personal development whether I'm looking at achieving, is I go through this process personally. So you might have your own A's, your own process, but I'm sharing with you my personal experience and what I go through on the 5 A's of personal development. And the next one that we have on there is analysis. So what we need to do is when we've got that awareness, when we understand that something's not quite right in our life, we're maybe feeling a little bit stuck, we don't know where to go, we don't know how to improve, we need to analyze that awareness. We need to start to look at what needs to change. We need to start to get to that level of understanding. And one big mind shift that helps a lot of people at this stage is we often think when we're looking at personal development and growth and we look at clients and we're in the coaching world and the self-help industry is that things need to be fixed. Now, the truth is things don't need to be fixed. They need to be understood. And if we understand things, it becomes a lot easier for us to move through this process and start to grow as an individual. And that understanding comes from analyzing what's going on for us and putting it into what we need to change, how we need to change it, and getting that deep level of understanding. So analysis is the next stage. The third A is accountability. So before we even step in, a lot of people can jump into the next stage. The next stage is action. I'm just going to give you the fourth point. Adele mentioned that earlier on, is accountability. Before we even step into taking action, we need to take accountability for our own lives. We need to understand that whatever position, whatever situation we're in, whatever struggle, whatever challenges, that we're facing, we are accountable for that. We have to do something. We need to take back that personal power, and we need to make that change. So we need to first become aware of it. We second need to analyze it and understand it. We third need to become accountable, hold ourselves accountable for our actions and our responsibility. Because if we cannot see that we play a huge part and we have the power to make change, we're going to stop ourselves from taking that action. And action is the next one in the 5 A's of growth. In order for us to make any change, there needs to be action behind it. We need to put what we are learning into practice. And I've said this a lot recently. If you think about action and you think about your physical body, the mind works exactly the same. You don't just go to the gym to watch other people work out. You don't just sit there and watch exercise DVDs, eating popcorn and a pizza. You actually have to put in the work to change and grow. And it's the same with our mindset. In order for us to change and grow, it's not just good watching videos, getting these motivation and inspirations, coming up with these ideas, analyzing what we can and can't do. We actually need to put it into practice and take what we can from this learning and put in either daily habits or weekly routines or just action in itself. Sometimes it's just a one-off action just to go through the process to help us understand. And then the final, so I can see Donna's put another wonderful A in there, appreciation. That's definitely important in personal growth. We need to appreciate. But the final action, the 5th A I've put in here, is affirmation. So in order for us to start to really feel like that action is making a difference, we need the affirmation behind it. We need to affirm that what we're doing is working and that we're succeeding and we're growing. And as I mentioned, this tends to form more of a cycle, which I'll show you in just one second. But what sits under all this, no matter what stage we are going through on these 5 A's, whether we're just at the awareness stage, whether we're just analyzing, or it's accountability, action, or affirmation, our environment is the key. If we're not in the right place, it's going to be difficult for us to become aware. If we're not surrounded by the right people, it's going to be difficult for us to become aware of what we need to change. If we're not in the right environment, it's going to be difficult for us to analyze or understand what's going on for us. If we're not in the right environment, we might struggle to take accountability. If we're not in the right environment, we might not take action, and we might not get that affirmation to show that what we're doing is actually working. So as I mentioned, this can come in terms of more of a cycle. So, and once we get to that affirmation, we go back to awareness. So we go from awareness to analysis to accountability to action to affirmation to awareness to analysis, and we can grow and grow and grow. And at the center of all of that is our environment. And that's why we're talking about environment today, because if we are not in the right environment, we're going to really struggle. It's not to say you can't grow in the wrong environment. It's just going to be tougher for you. The tougher the conditions, the harder it is for you to grow. Now, I just want to see, is there any questions or thoughts on this? Lots of good A's that are coming in. We need to understand achieving things and goals and success. That's fantastic. It makes us feel good. But that's only when we're looking at trying to achieve something. Through personal growth, we need to look at the cycle that we go through. So an acceptance, Vijaya, acceptance is part of that accountability. So I really like that A. It's part of the accountability and starting to realize that we need to accept what's going on. But we have to be careful with acceptance as well, because sometimes if we just accept things, we can talk ourselves out of not making change. And sometimes change doesn't need to happen. You know, if we find contentment, we're at the next level. That's fantastic. But if you're not happy with your life, if you're really struggling, then something needs to change. And this is the journey we go through and the cycle we go through on whatever area of development we're working on. So Don says our environment definitely penetrates our mind, body, and soul. It does. It affects us all. And I'm not just talking physical environment. We're going to move on to the next part of today's session, which is the 3 types of environment. Now, what do we think the 3 types of environment we have are? What do we think? Any idea? Because often when we talk about environment, we just think of the physicalities. We just think of our surroundings and we think physically. What type of environments do we have? Adele is saying here, environment can build or drain our energy. It really can. We're going to talk about energy and environment a little bit later on, but it is what energizes us or what drains us. That's so important. Donna's saying physical, internal, and emotional. Kind of physical is one that I've got here. Internal and emotional kind of combine another one that I have. So that's absolutely fantastic. Environment saying environment, internal and external. That's really great. Adele saying mental mind. So that's another one. So you're on the right lines. Everybody's saying the right things. I think together we got them there. So the three are, the first is mental. So we have a mental environment. We have the environment of our mind. We're going to explain a little bit more about these in this presentation. The second we have is social. So we have a social environment, the people that we interact with, those that we are inspired by, those who drain our energy, the people that we that we live with, the people that we have friends and family. They're all part of our social environment, and that really affects our energy as well. And then the third is physical. So we kind of got them all together, which is absolutely fantastic. It's really great that we're thinking aligned here, and the wisdom that you guys are bringing to the room is absolutely fantastic. Now, my next question is, which one of these would you say is the most important? So would you say our mental environment, the environment inside our mind, is more important, our social is more important, or our physical? What would you say? So Dale's saying spatial as well. So spatial terms forms into physical. That's fantastic as well. But spatial kind of forms into everything. We need that space within our minds to be able to think clearly, to get that focus, to get that clarity. We need that space in our social circle to grow. And we need that physical space to grow as well. So kind of spatial comes into the whole concept of environment. So Adele is saying alignment for me. So Adele, you're spot on. So these are all important and they kind of interlink together. So our mental, physical, and social. If we have a really bad mental environment, if our mind is not clear, if we're talking to ourselves negatively, if our head is full of clutter, it's going to affect our physical environment and it's also going to affect our social environment. Vice versa, if we physical environment, we talk about have a healthy space, healthy mind. Our physical environment, if we're living in an environment that isn't good for us, that isn't suitable for us, if we're not around the social side, if that's not good enough for us too, they're all going to affect each other. So we need to be conscious and aware of all of these areas and these environments, because we need to do work on them if they're not correct. And sometimes we might be in a good physical environment, but our mental environment might not be there. So they can help and support and interlink, but essentially you want to aim for that center circle where we have a good, strong mental environment, we have a good, strong social environment, and we have a good, strong physical environment. And that's what's going to energize us and help us reach that passion within if we're in that right environment. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier on. So we can see, with our mental environment, clearly physical is the location, and the social and the people that we interact with are the people that provide us with minerals. And if we combine those three together, we use that analogy, we're going to start to live in an environment that is right for us and that's going to help us succeed. So Donna is saying a toss-up between mental and social. They're both very important, but it's important for us to work on all of these areas and making sure we've got that clear environment across them all. Anybody have any questions on this? Anybody like to challenge the idea? I'm always open for discussion and to learn from you guys. This space is for me to share my personal experiences, what I've gone through, what's worked for me, and how I've looked and analyzed situations. There's no right or wrong answer. There's perspectives, and I'm always open to hear yours. How are people's environments? Are we happy with the environment we're currently in? Whether it's mentally, socially, physical, do we have a good, tidy environment in all these three areas? How do people feel about their current environment? I'm going to share my personal experiences a little bit later on of how I've had to change environments many different times and clear my environments. So maybe the questions will come as I start to go through and explain a little bit more about each of these areas. So the first one we have is our mental environment, which is our mind. And we need to start to imagine our mind as if it was a garden, and we need to start to treat it right. We need to start to look, we spend most of our time in our heads, in our minds, whether we're traveling, whether we're watching something and thinking, whether we're in the shower, whether we're cooking, whether we're out for a walk, we are always in our mind. So our mind is very important that we keep it tidy, that we keep it positive, that we keep it optimistic. And in terms of how we start to organize our mental environment, we need to look at things like decluttering. So stop overthinking, starting to understand what's going on for us inside, what are we worried about, what our fears are, all that sort of stuff. We need to kind of unpack that and declutter what's going in the mind to start to clear it. The second thing is affirmations. We need to start to change that negative thinking into positive thinking. You can start to look at reprogramming. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on all these. They're just areas that we can work on to improve our mental environment. Reprogramming, so we had a wonderful session from Brenda Lees and also Matt Harima and Jane talked about this, a bit of NLP earlier on in the week for Mind Body Wellness Day. And it's all about starting to reprogram. We are conditioned through our subconscious. How do we start to become conscious of our subconscious to reprogram and start to reprogram that subconscious for us to step forward? So we can look at NLP work. Forgiveness forms a part of this as well. What are we holding on to from the past? What pain do we have, and where is that coming from? Self-care. So I put self-care over self-love. I'm a preference over self-care over self-love. We need to understand how we talk to ourselves. How do we treat ourselves? Do we take the time out for ourselves? And also self-discipline is also a key as well. I'm going to talk about that at a different session, the kind of balance between self-discipline and self-love, and how we also need to discipline ourselves in order for us to keep an environment tidy and to keep us progressing. So these are some areas on our mental environment in which we can work on to help us tidy our minds. Now the second one, so here's some personal tips, from me on the mental environment. So how have I worked with my mental environment in the past? How have I cleared it? So the first one is find an activity that clears your mind and brings you presence. So share your tips below as well. I'd love to hear what you do to keep the garden of your mind tidy. Now, you can do visualization exercises. You can close your eyes. You can picture it. See what your garden looks like. Is it full of weeds? We need to pull those weeds out. We need to plant those beautiful flowers and help it grow. So if that visualization works for you to help you start to bring up tips, then you can do that. But share your tips in the comments below. I would love to see what tips help you. So for me, it was finding an activity that clears your mind and brings you presence. So this can be meditation, but meditation can take many different forms. We've learned that already in the Kickstart conference this 2 days. But for me, it was martial arts. I picked up Wing Chun. Every time I was there, I was present. It helped me clear my mind, focusing on the body, focusing on the moves, bringing in the understanding, the theory behind it. I was always present. So I did more of it. So I was doing it 5 times a week. I started 2 times a week, but I loved it so much. It kept me focused. I did it 5 times. People find this in yoga. They find it through creativity, through writing poetry, through art, through drawing, through some form of creativity. Any activity that helps you clear your mind and brings you to presence, to a place of presence, you need to do more of it because it's healthy and it keeps the mind tidy. The next one, we had a great session from Matt Harima. She talked a lot about journaling, but journaling your thoughts. And I'm not going to talk about what level because we have to go through different levels when we journal. Journaling is a skill in itself. And if you're just starting out and your mind is full of clutter, full of overthinking, full of thoughts, you just need to start off by writing them and get them down on paper, because when you get them down on paper, you start to understand them a little bit better. And that's all it is to help you tip. If you feel like you start to get a tidier mind and you're writing things down and it seems really positive, then switch to more of a gratitude journal and start to write things you're more appreciative for, more grateful for, all that sort of stuff. You've got to go on that journey through journaling. But at the start, if you feel like the garden of your mind is a bit of a mess, just journal your thoughts. I've got a full notebook, a full journal from back in 2016, 2017, where I was just writing in every day my thoughts, and it was just, I had to declutter. So keep a hold of that. And it's always good to go back and read and just see how you were thinking, what your perspective was at that time, and how you've grown and evolved through this process. The next, one of the most important things is to plug your ears with positivity. Whether it's podcasts, whether it's motivational videos on YouTube, whether it's courses, whether it's webinars like this, plug your ears with positivity. You need to hear positivity on a daily basis, because to get out rid of these weeds, you need to replace them with positivity. So plug your ears with positivity. Fourth, understand your worries, fears, and troubles. You have to do that inner work. You have to understand what you're worried about. What is it you're scared of? You're truly scared of? Are you scared of rejection? Are you scared of how people perceive you? What are your fears? And what is troubling you right now? So what's keeping your mind busy? Until you understand what it is that's keeping your mind busy, you're never going to be able to take the right action in order to clear it. And finally, get a coach. Now, this is not a spin-off. This is not a sales point for Coaching Minds, because we have coaches here. I personally had a coach in the past. I have a coach today, and we need to continue to have that support that's going to help us, because sometimes we just cannot work it out for ourselves. We're constantly looking for the right answers, but we're not asking the right questions. And that's what a coach is fundamentally there to do. They're there to ask you the right questions through a multiple other different types of skills, and hold that space for you to ensure that you are clear, you have clarity, and you have focus to help you unpack and declutter your mind. I'm going to come back. Has anybody else got any more tips coming through? So Adele has shared a personal story here. I changed my physical environment recently, improved my mental environment, and I'm aware of my social environment and put boundaries in place. Wonderful, Adele. You've been working on environment over the past couple of months. I'm aware of that, and it's fantastic to see how your energy has increased. Adele saying meditation, exercise, color therapy is a good one. I do love to color in now and then, and reading. Playing video games is good for some people as well. Just whatever you do, just don't become addicted to it. Donna's saying boxing, amazing. That physical activity really helps. And if you are struggling with meditation, now this is not a talk on meditation, but sitting. People talk about meditation. We think of sitting on a pillow with our legs crossed, listening to some music with our arms in the air like this. That's great. I do that a lot as well. I do that every day for 10 minutes. It is really fantastic if you can get to that point. But you need to build yourself up. Again, it's a journey, it's a process, and start with something physical. Yoga, qigong, boxing, Wing Chun, kung fu, dancing, just something like that to get you present, because the whole point of meditation is to be in the moment and to live presently. And then when you do that, you can start to observe your thoughts. You can get on a more spiritual level where you sit on a cushion and you can start to observe what's going on for you. It really helps with emotions and clearing your thoughts as well. And you can do it, that kind of meditation, when you get to that level, you can do it a lot quicker. You don't have to spend hours on end. And she's also put there, singing badly, sing, get it out. If that helps you, if that's going to help you build up your energy, get that out there. And hugging and laughing. There's some wonderful stuff there, some really good tips to keep your mind positive. Laughter, humor really helps. It is a tonic for life. Adela saying, important to me is laughter. Yep, so right on there, pulling that up. That's fantastic. Jane is saying dancing. So if dancing really helps, and just listen to music in general. Music has energy. So we need to, this is more moving on to kind of physical environment, but they're all kind of intertwined. But just be mindful of what you are listening to in the lyrics of the songs that you listen to. So I put there, plug your ears with positivity. That also applies to the types of music that you're listening to. If you're listening to gangster rap and it's got no meaningful, it's all really hard lyrics with nothing that's really connecting with you, change it. I love to listen to reggaeton, mainly because, well, it's kind of changed for me now because I've started to understand the lyrics. But when I first started to listen to reggaeton, it's a Spanish music based in South America. I never understood the lyrics. I just felt the energy in the music and in the songs. And as I've started to understand Spanish more and understand some of the lyrics, I've kind of been more conscious and mindful of what I choose. But that's the point, is becoming conscious of what you're actually listening to, what your ears are being plugged with, because that's going to help shape how your mind is as well. So be mindful of your music. But there's great energy in music. So find the right one that energizes you and makes you feel ready. Does anybody else feel, you can be down on energy, but if you put on a certain song, if you put on some certain music, it can really raise your vibrations really quickly. It's incredible what music can do for you. The second one is our social environment. So this is our circle. This is the people that we interact with on a day-to-day basis. And it was Jim Rohn, you've probably heard this a lot, it was Jim Rohn that originally said that we are the average of the 5 people we spend most of our time with. And there we have the awareness. We become the average of the 5 people we spend most of our time with. But the analysis section is, well, who are those 5 people that I spend most of the time with? And are they good for me or are they bad for me? In terms of, do they inspire me? Do they uplift me? Or do they bring my energy down, and are they filled with negativity? So you need to start to do that analysis piece, move on to that next A, start to take accountability that you can actually change your circle. And areas of work that can help us in the social environment side of things is our setting healthy boundaries. So Del mentioned she set healthy boundaries. Having boundaries with people, not letting people take up so much of our energy, so much of our time, setting those boundaries so we can stay focused, we can stay positive, and we can start to move forward with whatever we're setting out to achieve. The second one is energy management, becoming conscious of where we spend our energy, how much energy we are giving to people. Is the energy that we're spending on other people being used for their investment, for their growth, or are they taking your energy and then burn it and coming back and attention seeking more from you? You've got to understand that and go deep into it. The third one is starting to look and changing our support circle. We need to have a tight support circle. The people that you interact with daily, people who are on the mission with you, you need to vibe with, they need to resonate with, they need to be supportive, not just for you, but you of them as well. We had a wonderful presentation just a couple of hours ago from Jane on communication. This is another area to look at building for our social environment. And the last thing I put on there is daily consumption. Now, what I mean by daily consumption here is what we are reading on social media. Wherever we are on our phones, keep it positive. If you have people on social media that are posting negative stuff, just remove them, block them, unfollow them, whatever. Keep your feed constructive. Be mindful of what you're consuming, especially when you wake up in the morning and before you go to sleep, because that affects and overall sets our energy for the day. So be mindful of what you're consuming on a daily basis. In this day and age, it is what we see on social media. So keep it tidy, keep it uplifting, because you see a post you didn't want to, and it affects you in some kind of negative way, it's going to bring your energy down really quickly. So Vijaya is saying, for me, it's writing. It really helps, writing. I know you write a lot of poetry, Vijaya, but it's not necessarily have to be poetry. Whatever it is that helps you tap into that creativity. Creativity is a great way to be present. It keeps you focused. Time can fly by when you're in that creative state and you don't think about anything else. So it's really wonderful that you're doing that. Donna is saying, set clear expectations and boundaries. It's so important. Respect and embrace your values. Be vocal. People are not mind readers. Beautifully put, Donna. You really need to be vocal. And going on what Jane was saying, say what we mean. And one thing that we cover we did it in our mental health awareness session is say what we mean and mean what we say. So from that, what we essentially do is we have to be clear on what we're saying. We need to be vocal, help people understand our boundaries, what we'll accept, what we won't accept, and also mean it. So when we set those boundaries, follow it up. So mean what we say what we mean, and mean what we say. So wonderful. I love that, Donna. Thank you for sharing that. So that is our social environment. So for me, some personal tips, what's helped me correct my social environment. I've changed this a lot. So first of all, note down 5 people who inspire you and 5 people who drain you. This is a really good task to do, right? The 5 people who really inspire you and 5 people who drain you. And then from there, ensure that through 2023, you spend most of your time, or as much time as you can, with the 5 people who inspire you, and stay away or spend as little time as you can with the 5 people who drain you. So manage that energy. 5 people who inspire you, 5 people who drain you. Reset boundaries. So you already have boundaries in place. It's not about setting new boundaries. It's about setting new boundaries, but it's not setting original boundaries. It's resetting those boundaries with individuals. We've talked about this, some good comments coming through, being clear on those boundaries and setting where you're going to be spending your energy. Let people know. Don't give people too much, because there's a saying, if people take an inch, they'll take a mile. If you open yourselves up too much and give yourself too much to people, they'll come back for more and more and more and more. And all of a sudden, your energy will be drained. And this is something I've had to learn personally just over the last year. One of the biggest things for 2022 for me was resetting these boundaries. I was trying to give my energy to so many people, and it absolutely led me to almost burnout in 2022, which was ridiculous. So I had to reset those boundaries. And in that, if people don't respect your boundaries, you have to let them go. I let a lot of people go in 2022. I cut a lot of ties with a lot of people, but that's because I have respect for my boundaries. And if they're not going to respect it, they're going to have to go. And we have to have that self-discipline. And this is where, that whole kind of self-love to self-discipline, we have to be kind, we have to be caring. Yes, we do be kind and caring, but we also have to respect ourselves and know when to discipline ourselves to cut out the people that are not good for us. Stay away. It leads nicely on to stay away from energy vampires. There's just some people, you can probably think of a few people in your past if you've gone through this. If this is new to you, an energy vampire is just somebody that you communicate with. Even just getting a message from them sometimes, it will drain your energy. They just suck the life out of you. They just want more and more and more. They always want the center of attention, and they just want to take all the energy in the room. Minimize the amount of time you spend with these people. They're not great for you. So I'm just going to come back to some comments here before we go into the last two. Jai is saying, for social environment, it is how much time I give them in my thoughts beyond conversations, interaction. I like that. So that's taking the social into the mental. If you are spending too much time thinking about someone, then how is that affecting your mind, your garden of your mind, and your mental environment as well? So you also have to consider your thoughts, and you can always send and keep positive thoughts to people without having to move to that stage where you need to take that energy from people, because we just don't have time to communicate, connect with everybody. We have to be very wise of our energy, and that doesn't mean just because you haven't spoken to someone for a long time doesn't mean you don't have that same connection. I have one of my oldest friends. I met with him last week, and we haven't connected for a few months, but we've been friends for coming up to nearly 20 years now. We went to school together, and we see each other maybe once or twice a year, but when we connect, when we get together, it's like we've never been apart. I have that with some people from university as well. If you build those connections, you don't need to, just message them every so often. When you do get that time with them, being present and spending that energy, people go off in different directions. They worked on different goals. They have different priorities, and it's respecting those boundaries, but still showing that love. So setting boundaries and staying away from energy vampires isn't always about negativity. It's about positively setting boundaries and understanding each other's going different ways. He's got 2 kids, a family. He's married. I'm floating around the world, traveling to different destinations, trying to build up a business, trying to build up a hub. We got different lives, and I've got people in different places that I've met in towns that I've lived. But when we connect, the energy's there as the present. We've got our boundaries. We know we cannot be there, but we know that if something's not right, we can give each other a call because it's the boundaries that we've set. We are there for each other, and we know we're there for each other. And whenever we're in the same place physically, we'll do what we can to meet. So John is saying, again, be consistent in your actions, expectations. Definitely, it's so important. Adele's saying they almost never give back. Yeah, energy vampires will never give you energy back. They will just expect, they'll expect. And then if you want something, if you need something, it's small, they'll make a big deal of it. Or they'll cut conversation, or they tend to flip the conversation back about them. Energy vampires, then we have a conversation, maybe something's going on, and they'll just take over the conversation. And for some strange reason, you're talking about your biggest problem, and they're back telling you about a problem they had 5-10 years ago, which is linked to what you said. So Donna said, yes, plus be observant because those little energy suckers grow to be big mother suckers. They do. They get worse and worse. So stay away from energy vampires. Next one is keep your social media uplifting. So I talked about that already. But go out there. A challenge that we're going to set as part of the Kickstart conference, which is going to be posted in just a little while, is to go out and unfollow 10 people, either on Instagram or Facebook. Remove the people that you see that aren't uplifting you. Maybe they just post really random stuff. Maybe you have no connection. Maybe you don't even know them. I had to go through, I did this in December. I was just going through and removing loads of people that have kind of connected with me on Facebook. Never had a conversation with them. They pop up and it's some random, really just something that isn't uplifting on the newsfeed. I want to see positive stuff. I want to see stories of people's growth. I want to see people connecting, traveling, enjoying themselves. I don't want to be seeing random, stuff that comes up. So keep your social media uplifting, appreciate and express gratitude to those you support. So it's not just about removing people, but actually appreciating those around you and not taking advantage. That's another tip on the social environment. So moving on to our physical environment, and I don't know why that has come up. but the picture is not shown, but don't worry. So in terms of our physical environment, we're looking at our physical organization. How do we like to be physically? How do we like our workstation? How do we like our zones or our places where we work out? It's about the physical energy of the space. Nature is a big place to help us build up that energy. Amenities. So what I mean by amenities is, you might have a good space for working and cracking on with your business or whatever you do, your job, but you also need that space to be able to do physical workouts. You might need a space for meditation. You might need a space to read. You need to start to think about what that whole place looks like. And the other thing is resources as well. So what do you have at hand? Do you have everything you need in your environment to really help you succeed? So for example, if you're setting up a coaching business, you're doing a lot of talks like this, do you have a good camera? Do you have good lighting? Do you have a good sound? All that sort of stuff you need to start to think about in terms of your physical environment. And some tips on your physical environment. Now, this is a big one, and all of us can stop and kind of feel like we're always stuck in the environment that we're in. We're not. We have a choice. There's a saying out there, we're not trees, we can move. We're not stuck. Where we plant our roots, we're not stuck. We can choose to move our environment. So remove yourself from environments that don't support your growth. Now, this could just be your constant day-to-day environment where you live, but also environments where maybe you go and meet friends, and maybe you're focusing on your personal growth, you're developing your business, and going to a bar, getting hangover and drinking a lot is not a good environment for your growth. Maybe instead you need to start to invest in the local library, the events, the business center, all that sort of stuff, and spend your time wisely. That's going to help you grow. And if you're struggling, if you are really in an environment that is really toxic for you, that's really bad, get out of it, leave it. And if you can't build the courage and step out your comfort zone, or don't have the finance in order to do that, then try to remove yourself from that environment as frequently as possible. Go and work from somewhere else. Go and spend more time outside in nature. Go for more walks. Keep away from that environment as frequently as you can. Energize your environment. So whilst you might not be able to leave it, there's certain things you can do in your environment to change it. We talked about music as energy. Get yourself some pictures that motivate you. Put up your vision board. Put positive affirmations around. Put plants around the place as well. Bring nature to you. It's another tip later on. But energize your environment so it feels like your space. And this is a really important one. If you've ever lived with a partner and you've gone through a breakup, it's really important that you start to change that room, because environment can bring back memories. And if you are constantly having the memories of that person being in that space, it's really important for you to change that around, redecorate it. The cost to repaint is not a lot. And in terms of if you want to do it yourself, I don't know the cost of a painter, but to do it yourself and to change the room, just move it around, change a few things, will give it a different feel, a new feel. So energize your environment if it feels negative. Bring new things into that space. Compartmentalize your environment. This is so important. Don't eat in your bed. Don't watch TV in bed is another one that helps. Keep everything separate. You don't want to work, sleep, eat, and everything in the same place. It's not healthy at all. And if you don't have a big space, if you're just renting a room somewhere, then what you can do is compartmentalize the room into different sections. You can have your desk, and that's a place where you sit. You can have a meditation cushion somewhere sat near it, and that's where you meditate. You can put a picture on the wall so you compartmentalize that environment and keep it separate. You can have a space where you eat. Make sure you don't eat in the room, eat out of the room, at a desk, at a table, in the kitchen or dining room of the shared accommodation, whatever it is, wherever you live. So compartmentalize your environment really helps. Bring nature to you. I just mentioned lots of plants can help from an actual physical lesson, from a scientific standpoint as well. Lots of different plants have different energies to clear the air, to give you good energy, but just being around them as well and having plants around you can really uplift your energy. And remember, we talked about earlier on, tidy space, tidy mind. So organize our place, keep it nice and tidy, will give us a tidy mind. Anybody else have any more tips on what they do? So Adele's put scented candles, incense burning, bring in color. Beautiful. Bring in more color, bring in some scented candles, give the smell the place, really make it a place that is great. Donna is saying light. I cannot speak. I've got my blind shut here because the light's a little bit better. It doesn't show so well, but light in the room is really, 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 really important. Clutter-free, citrus fresh smells. Love the citrus fresh smells. Warm colors, visuals that inspire and create passion and purpose. Exactly. Doesn't cost a lot to do this, but change. If you can't remove yourself from the environment, do what you can to change that physicality to give you more energy when you're in that space. That's something you can do. It's the accountability part, and the action is going out there and doing it. Lakshmi is saying, hang a picture of you where you are smiling and projecting happiness. Wonderful. Remind you of the good times that you've had in the past and the good times that are going to come in the future. And that doesn't have to be alone. It can be with a partner, it could be with your family, it could be with your friends, whatever makes you happy, your pets, your dogs, whatever. And that's another thing you can do as well, is get yourself a pet. If you're going to stay at home, you're going to take care of your pet, and it's a place where you're planning to be for years, get yourself a little pet to help with the environment as well. They can really change things up. Adele, I create a reading space and move my working space to another room. That helps. Compartmentalizing your environment is really, really important. Donna is saying, I also put on a fireplace or aquarium on the TV to add to that atmosphere. I love that. Just put it on the TV. You don't have to afford, if you can't afford an aquarium or you don't have a fireplace where you are, that image of it on the TV can really give that energy to it. Lovely tips and suggestions here. Vijay saying, for me, making the environment speak to me and reflect myself is important. That's interesting, Vijay. How do you do that? So if I was to take this tip away, how do you make the environment speak to you? What's your suggestions there? I like that thought. Adele saying, I planted from the seeds and watched their growth. Yeah, you did. I remember you've got a few. Have you got some new ones this year? But even planting your nature seeds from growth and watching them grow, it gives you focus. It's also, that planting in that garden is also a way to be present as well in terms of our mindset and our mind environment. But that's really great. Thank you for sharing that. So tidy space, tidy mind, and some really good tips coming through. Okay, so moving on. So my personal experience. So how can I come here and tell you all this stuff about what we can, what we can't do about our environment, and give you the courage and the inspiration to leave your current environment? Well, first of all, I left home when I was 16. I didn't like the environment I was in. It wasn't suitable for me. I want to grow. I want to go to university. I want to make something of my life. So I left home when I was 16, and I managed 3 jobs. And I actually lived with a girl that I was dating at the time, with her family, and I changed my environment. I got to university, I graduated, I changed it. I made something happen by getting completely out of the environment I was in. Second, I lived and moved 7 times in 3 years. So this is through the period of kind of 2015 to 2017. I lived in lots of different accommodations. I had moved from my city, my hometown, down to close to London. I got a new job in the water industry, managing contracts and business-to-business relationships with them, and I was staying in different house shares because I didn't have a lot of savings. I'd used a lot of the money when I was at university to get my degree and things, so I kind of wanted to save up for a dream. My dream was to go traveling. I wanted to go and travel and see the world, so I was trying to keep the cost of living to a minimum while working a full-time job, and I was going around all these different houses because some people, if anybody hasn't lived in a house share, it's really great if you've got, so it was generally with 4 people I had. If you've got people that you really connect with, again, it's that social environment, then sharing accommodation, that house share, can be really, really great, and I was quite lucky in the first one that I got in. I was with 3 great guys. It was excellent. However, what happens is people aren't there long term. They're there for 3 months, 6 months, and then new people come in. And the new people come in, if they're having parties, there was people I lived with parties, people that were taking drugs, bringing drugs into the premise, all that sort of stuff. I didn't like it. I moved. So in those 3 years, I tend to move a few times, and then I ended up living with a friend for a few months, but then I didn't want intrigue, so I moved to somewhere else, all that sort of stuff, because he was just got married and all that sort of thing. So I was moving around just because I had this focus that I want to travel the world. So I kept that in mind. I've cut a lot of people out of my life, including friends and family. There's a lot of family I don't speak to, and there's friends that I had at the time that I realized weren't good for me. They were always going out partying, they were always drinking, they always wanted to do things that weren't constructive. That wasn't me. I had to cut them out. I had to find my way. And then I put there that I had to put on hold a dream to get myself ready. Now, what do I mean by that? So I told you I had a dream. I wanted to travel the world, I wanted to experience, see new things. When I was going through uni, when I had money, I'd go away for a weekend, or I'd make sure I went on holiday to somewhere different every couple of weeks. So for a couple of weeks in the years, I was working as well, and I was saving up. But then I realized, I wasn't in the environment to get the money that I wanted and to do what I really want to do. So actually, all the money I saved up for that dream, I actually put into a deposit on a house. And I bought a house through the Help to Buy scheme here in England. 3-bedroom house. I built it. It was structured the way I wanted it, in terms of I had an office room. I made the garage into a gym. I create all the stuff I've said in there, keeping everything compartmentalized, and I used that thinking ahead of the future. That environment was key for me. The environment I was in just wasn't good for my mental state. Moving around different places, all these different people, it just wasn't good for me. So if I really want to up the amount I was saving, get involved, set up my own business so I could have sustainability when I was traveling around the world, I needed a good steady base, somewhere that I could work. So I put all the money into the house, got the house, and I built my coaching business from there. So I worked full time. I built my coaching business. I was coaching on the weekends, coaching on evenings, and I was working full time in the water industry. And then I decided to quit my job and go traveling. I got to a few places. I was living it. It was absolutely fantastic. And the plan was, so I could keep the house and have that environment when I came back to. What I did is I rented out a couple of rooms in the house. So there was two of the main rooms were rented out. So I had an income and the house was paying for itself while I could travel. But then COVID hit, everything went a bit tits up, for want of a better word. And I had to rethink and re-strategize. So during that time, I got to a few places around Europe. I got to Peru. You've probably seen my pictures out there if you followed me for some time. And then I got to Colombia. I spent a month in Colombia. I came back. I went to France, came back from France, and then we were in lockdown. And during that time, the environment that I once had in that home didn't become the same. So what I had to do is I sold that house, and that is the point when I invested everything into Coaching Minds. And I moved to Colombia for 1 year, and my life since then has been between Colombia and the UK. But that shift and this move to the right environment is the key to your growth. And that 1 year in Colombia, I moved into Plurico Living, which I'm going to talk about in a second. You've probably heard me talk about it before, and it changed my life. If it wasn't for that decision to go to Colombia, to get my head down, to live in the right environment, Colombia is a place that's got a low cost of living, so my money went a lot further. Coaching Minds would not be here today if I did not take that leap and take that jump. Being in the right space has allowed me and the group of team that we've pulled together and we've attracted, who have also taken leaps of faith, to be here today and experience what Coaching Minds is today. So that is why I'm talking about environment, because it's been key for me, and I've changed around and moved it and amended it as I've gone through my life. So I'm going to come back to the comments, but that is the importance of today. So Anya is saying, it's wonderful to see you here, Anya. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a whiteboard where you can put your good thoughts or goals. Love that. I used to have a whiteboard as well in my home. It really, really effective. You had your goals on there. It was next to my vision board. And I also put on there my priorities for the week. So I'd always have the top 3 priorities. I'd have an inspirational quote on there. And whiteboards are absolutely great to keep that focus and keep it ahead. Thank you for the claps, Donna. I don't really share a lot about my personal stories and my background. I have done it once or twice, but I share Hey everyone, apologies for that. That was really strange. I don't even know if I'm back live. I'm just going to check. Apologies if there's background noise. I'm going to check that I'm still live on Facebook. Can you drop a comment if you can see me? I don't know. That was a little bit crazy. It literally just went black screen, conked out, then came back on, and I'm back live again. So let me just check if I can see myself on Facebook. Yeah, I'm back here. Excellent. So, wow, apologies for that. So, obviously, life and timing, they didn't want me to share what I've got. I want me to go a little bit over. So, I'm just going to pull back my slides. Give me a second. Just two slides left. Just a couple more things to get through. Thank you so much for patiently waiting. I really appreciate it. So thank you for being here. It's good to see that we can see back. So I've just shared my personal experience and why I can share and vouch for the importance of environment, because I've changed it a lot to reach my dreams. To being able to travel last year, I got to travel around the world doing stuff with Coaching Minds and building on what we have in terms of our hub today. So absolutely wonderful. And my life now is between Colombia and the UK. So I spent a lot of months there. I'm going back there in February, and I spend months back in the UK with my family as well. So that is a bit about me and my personal experience. But what I want to talk about, and the purpose of what we have at Coaching Minds, is there's an opportunity for you. So if anybody's watching this and they're feeling like they really need a change of environment, they need a new space of learning and growth for 2023, we've announced this briefly before, but we have our brand new global stay program. So you can join me out in Colombia in this beautiful building with your own studio apartment. It's not expensive. The cost of living over there is really low. So if you just want to get out the environment you're in, put your head down for 3 months and really focus on your goals, your future. It's tailored for coaches. So if you want to become a coach and you want to build your online business and become an accredited coach, then it's tailored for you. And there's other things that you get involved. So the building is absolutely beautiful. You've got some beautiful sunsets you can see from. Here is the workspace. So you've got lots of desks you can see on that picture. You also have a desk in your room, and there's private meeting rooms that you have access to as well. It's absolutely wonderful. So there's an opportunity for you to join me in Colombia. You're going to have me there pretty much every day, helping you, guiding you on whatever it is you're working on within your coaching business. And it's an opportunity for you to live, work, study, play, and experience a whole new adventure. So you can take yourself out of your current environment and put it into one that's really going to make you grow. And it is the one that made Coaching Minds grow. This is where I lived for over a year and really transformed what we do here at Coaching Minds. You'll graduate with a transformational coaching diploma. You'll become an accredited life coach, a accredited transformational coach with the EMCC. So everything we do online is included with this. We will also help you establish an online business. So you will build your own website within those 3 months with us. You will work with the same people that work with Coaching Minds to build their website. And this is all included. Everything I'm sharing is included. You get to build your network, and you will have an established online business within them 3 months. You get to experience 3 months in the third most beautiful country in the world, as published by Forbes magazine. We're going to take you out. There's going to be weekend trips. There's going to be cultural experiences for you to get involved with. We've got lots of surprises lined up for people who join the program. And it also includes a 7-day retreat in a private villa with a pool. So we're going to take you out from the busy, the working hard, and just allowing you to relax by the pool, get involved in some meditations, do some nature walks, and get involved in some more cultural experiences. There'll be lots of salsa lessons, Spanish lessons, lots of other stuff involved. It's absolutely fantastic. And as you can see, you get everything included. This is a new life. So this is for people who are looking for a new life, for a new environment, to really help them grow in 2023. And we're working in partnership with Plurico Living. The price is the price. It doesn't change. It's very low in cost, but high value. And if you want to do it as a pay, it's almost half the cost. There's only a little bit of an extra cost if you were to do this as a pair, sharing the same studio apartment. So if you want to come with somebody, a partner, a friend, it's pet friendly. If you want to bring your dog, your cat, whatever across as well. If you want a new place, a new environment, in a new place, this is for you. It's got games rooms. You can see these pictures are all from inside the building. It's games rooms included. You can play pool. There's a home cinema. You can watch movies. You can play ping pong. There's other stuff you can get involved with. There's meeting rooms. So if you start to get clients, you online, offline, you've got meeting rooms there. We will host and teach. All the sessions we do online will be taught in person here in the building as well, within the seminar rooms that they've got. There's a studio, recorder studio, so you actually get hours in the recorder studio to do your podcasts, to do your courses. So if you want to start to up your professionalism, you'll see you can get a professional shoot as well. Lots of stuff to really build your business here. There's gym membership and spa membership all included in the package as well. Private terraces, so you can have nights where you can have barbecues, or you can have a few drinks on the terrace with people as well. There's an actual bar on the rooftop terrace you can get involved with some beautiful sunsets you can see there, and there's a restaurant built in the building as well, all of it in the same building. It's absolutely fantastic. And if you're interested in this, or you know anybody that really wants to change their environment in 2023, then you can email me at paul.smith@coachingmindsglobal.com. You can message me on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching this, or you can just comment below that I want to know more, and I'll send you the program brochure. So you'll find the program brochure on the replay as well. But I just want to share this picture. You've probably seen this picture everywhere. It is on the Coaching Minds website. This is actually in the building as well. So all the professional photos that we have for the website, our own stock, a lot of people when they set up a website, they take from the iStock. We wanted it to be Coaching Minds, and we wanted to have our feel. So they're our professional photos that we got taken. So if you're looking to really build a coaching business, if you're starting off new, you want to become accredited, you have everything included within the package. And that leads me just to the final closing today, and that is any questions that people have from anything that I've shared today, whether it's personal through my experiences, whether it's to do with the tips that I've shared on the environments, or whether it is to do with our program that we have launched this year. So honestly, I cannot vouch for it enough. The building that I lived in, it was the perfect environment for me to get my head down and get Coaching Minds established and hold my coaching business at the same time to keep the finances flowing as well. It is, you have your desk in the room, the bathroom, it's really beautiful energy in the room, lots of light. It has, black blinds as well, so you can, if you've got the blinds down, the light will get in the morning. It's really, honestly, it's structured. The whole building, you can connect with people. There's over 100 apartments, so you can connect with entrepreneurs or the business people or the coaches from around the world as well. So it is a huge opportunity, and I guarantee you it is cheaper than any other coaching program that you'll see that offers the same thing out here. So it's high value, low cost. It does say I can hear and see you on YouTube. That's excellent. I'm back. There was a funny little turn there, so I'm gonna have to maybe do an edit before I publish the replay, and just to cut out that bit of me sitting there, or the blackness in the background. Donna saying, "Oh, I would love to." Fantastic opportunity. That's wonderful, Donna. I'll send you the program brochure. If there's anybody that you know that want to join, the only thing we have, and this is, I'm not one for marketing techniques, it's just what we have with the building is there's an only opportunity for 5 people. We, as Coaching Minds, it's a 100 apartment building. They get people from all around the world in different industries. When I lived there was digital marketers. There was people that were helping people with websites. There was people who owned fitness organizations. There was people from Germany. There was people from the US. There was people from Canada. There was a girl from Korea. There was people from all around the globe there. So this is not a sales technique. We just have 5 apartments for Coaching Minds, so it is limited to 5 spaces, and that's the only thing you need to know in terms of the limitability. So if you do know anybody that would like to change their life, just take that leap of faith, go and live in a different country. And as I mentioned, we're not here to try and take money. If you're happy to share a studio apartment with somebody, the cost it almost halves. So it's just a little bit extra, and that's it. So if you want to do this with somebody, it's really economically viable, and you're going to come away with a business, an accreditation, and you're also going to come away with a fantastic experience for 3 months as well. And there's also the opportunity to stay on. So if you want to stay there for longer, Plurico Living are going to help us with that. So you can get a digital nomad visa. So that means you can extend your stay in Colombia for another year, and you can either stay in that building for as many months as you want. You can get a rolling contract with the building, or you can go and explore other areas of Colombia if you're interested to learn more about the country as well. So there's options to extend that stay. And I'll be around. I'm going to be there for 6 months this year while we run these 2 programs. between February and July. So I will be there that time, and you have access to me in person to help you with anything you need to get your business. And we really, you people, if you're part of our coaches, you know that I'm committed to really seeing you get results and seeing you making change. And it's a lot easier for me to do that in person. So I will be there to support you as well. So if you don't know anyone, just pass it on. As I mentioned, there is a limit to 5 spaces, and I'm happy just to have that conversation with people. I understand that times are tough right now in terms of finance, but you will find that the cost of living here for 3 months is a lot cheaper. If you're based in the UK or you're based in the US, the cost of your living right now, if you include everything that's in here, will be a lot more expensive than the 3 months that you have in Colombia. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And if you are interested, it's what changed my life. It's what really helped get Coaching Minds off the ground. And I'd love to see these people who want to step forward and change theirs do exactly the same. So I want to thank you all for the engagement. It's been absolutely wonderful. Adele, Donna, Anya, Jane, Vijaya, Lakshmi, everybody who's tuned in. It's been absolutely fantastic. Lots of good wisdom and thoughts shared from you guys. And I really appreciate it. And a huge thank you again to all of our coaches that are presented at this Kickstart conference. The replays are going to be available for the rest of the year. We're going to move it into a special summit and conference section in the hub. I'll explain all that later on. And I look forward to seeing you all for our final session, which is just 10 minutes, where I'm going to explain the purpose of the Coaching Minds Hub and what we're trying to achieve and how you can get the most of your time when you spend it within it. There's a lot going on in there, and I want to make sure that everybody can get the benefit that we're trying to put out there through Coaching Minds. So thank you, everybody. Donna saying thank you so much, Paul and Adele. Thank you, Donna. Thank you to everybody who's attended all the sessions. I've seen a lot of you attended all the sessions, which is absolutely fantastic. Thank you for being there, for supporting us, and I hope that you've gotten value from these 2 days. I want to wish you all an amazing week ahead, and I'll see you in 50 minutes for a quick 10-minute session on our hub. Now, one last point. That session is only visible in our hub. You need to be in the hub to witness it, because I'm experimenting as well with the new live functionality that we have. So it will be live inside the hub. You'll see me in a few places in there. It'll not be on YouTube. It'll not be on Facebook. It will just be in there. So keep an eye out for it. You'll get a notification, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week ahead.